Hey, what's up? This is your captain, Jackton Otieno, and I'd like to welcome you to Talk with J.O., where it's all about inspiring stories. Man, I keep saying that everyone has a story to tell, everyone is important, and what we do on Talk with J.O. is we get into people's worlds, get to hear their story, and hope to inspire people in one way or another, especially in such a time as this, man. If you're in Kenya like me, the fuel prices just went up, and everybody on Twitter, you know, we call it KOT here. Everyone is up in arms, complaining and, you know, bashing the government. And I think we all are right to do that, you know. But we want to speak hope and speak encouragement, even in all this chaos and all these challenging times, because 2020 to 2021, man, all the challenges have spilled over. But I believe in the Bible, man. Jeremiah 29:11 says that, you know, I know the plans that I have for you. They are plans to prosper you, to give you hope, and to give you a good future. So today is a special episode. And what I'm going to do on today's episode is I'm not going to have any guest. I'm basically going to try and tell you my story in the best way that I can. And I hope that through my story, we can pick out a few lessons from each other, and we can inspire one another in one way or another. And I hope that you will be blessed, you'll be encouraged, and you'll be inspired through my story. So sit back, get your coffee. For those of you who drink beer, get your beer. Because I know it's not every Christian who watches me. So whoever you are, whatever you are, man, grab whatever you can and enjoy my story today. Welcome to Talk with J.O. So I'm going to start with, you know, from where I was born. I was born in a village called, in a place called Kano. So if you are driving from Nairobi going to Kisumu, there's the last town that you get to, the major town you get to before getting to Kisumu is called Ahero. So just a few kilometers from Ahero, getting in, that entire region, you know, it's a place where rice is grown. It's called Kano, and that's actually where my late mom's home or village is, and that's where I was born, you know, a couple of years ago, specifically in 1987. You know, I can confidently say that because it makes me look a little bit old and mature, but I'm still young. So that's where I was born, and my grandmother, this is the gospel according to my grandmother. I was born in her kitchen, you know, and my family moved. My parents moved to Kitale. Kitale is in the western part of Kenya, and it's in Trans Nzoia County. For those of you who are familiar with the counties, so that's where we moved, and that's where I've grown up, man. So I would say born and bred, yes, in Kitale, but ideally I was born in Kano, you know, outskirts of Ahero. And so basically moved to Kitale and started life there. My dad was a businessman then. He was doing some small business here there. He was like running a matatu business. Then transport, we had a matatu that used to transport people from Kitale to Kisumu. Went to primary school, nursery school, and my primary school in an amazing school called Kitale Academy. Then it was actually one of the best schools in that region. We used to call it Kitale Academy, but now it's called Kitale School, and was a decent life. I can, you know, I can say I'm thankful. You know, I was not born in a wealthy family, or neither was I born in a poor family. But we were okay. That's what I can say. My parents, did their best to provide, the basic needs daily. Of course, the shelter, and taking me to a good school was a huge blessing. Actually, I remember my brother and I, the one who follows me is called Wycliffe. He's just 1 year younger than me, and I remember when we were young, in primary school, actually in class 1, 2, 3, Wycliffe and I would wake up very early, I think like 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. and we'll be out in the house at 6. By 6 a.m. we had a driver who would come to pick us home, and by 6:30 a.m. latest we were in school. So Daniel Munene, my best friend in primary school was called Daniel Munene. Now he lives in Boston. Actually, two of them are very close to me. Daniel Munene, he's in Worcester in Massachusetts, and William Dugire, who is in Lowell in Massachusetts as well. They are interesting enough. They don't live very far from each other, and we're also neighbors at home with Daniel. But we were always like the first people to get to school in my primary school. So that was really really neat. And I was an average student. That's what I can say. I don't think I didn't perform very well in my Kenya certificate of primary education. Then we were doing 7 subjects, and I think so the total was 700. I think I got 390 something. I think 398 or something. So it was above average, but I was hoping probably maybe I would get 400 and something or 500 and something. That would have been good, but I didn't. I got 398. And so what that meant is that I didn't get a school real quick as I wanted. So my mom, I remember, had to walk around and look for schools, because then if you didn't pass very well, you had to look for a school. So my mom looked for a school, and I got a school. It's called Immaculate Conception Mukuyu. It's in a place called Makoi. It was a mixed school. Yeah. So that's where I went for my high school, the Form 1 and Form 2, that is. And I go to school, I remember, I think in March, early March. And I go to school like this, and I was appointed to be a bell ringer, So I got immediately, and I became a prefect, which was fine. I performed, I'd say, averagely. I think I tried, for being the person who was the last person to get to school, amongst the last people to get to school. I think I performed well. I think I was number 20 something, if I remember. And then in my second term, I jumped from number 20 something to number 2. Yeah. And then in third term, I became number 1. And again, going to second Form 2, that is, I would say second year. I said, man, you know what, I think I'm just going to stick to this number 1. And the guy who was behind me, I ensured there was a serious gap, 200 and something, until my folks were like, man, you're so bright, man, you're doing well. And I want to give you a story. Some when you're in high school and some things are happening, I hope my principal will not watch these things. When you're growing up, you start, how can I put it? You're in the adolescent stage, and pride sets in high school. So what happened? Our school was divided. There was a main road on dividing one side of school and the other one. And this main road, because it was in a village, we would have villagers walk through the main road. So one side had classes and dining room and pitches and laboratories, and also the other side had classes. The other one had dormitories. So we would definitely pass through the main road, And what happened is there's one day, there's a kid who this is a story, man, I am never proud about it, because a very young kid, I think he was maybe 8 years old, Yeah, and because we were interacting with villagers, he abused me badly. It's the kind of abuse that you wouldn't talk about it. And I was so angry, and I actually, I kicked him. The thorough quick, we call it a sweep, And what happened? This boy broke his leg, and that area was full of the village, the community that was full there was like a lot of people were Turkanas, and they came to the school and they were up in arms, and nobody knew who did this. Yeah, but I think the school, the leadership, that especially the deputy headmaster or headmistress, I think did her own research and found out who actually did this. And yeah, so it was found out it's Jackton who kicked this boy and broke his leg. Never proud about that, man. But there's a lesson actually to learn from that. Is never be controlled by your emotions, because life issues always throw things at us, things that are beyond our control, but what we can control is our emotions. So then I didn't control my emotions. As much as the kid abused me and it was wrong, it was within my power to control my emotions and say, hey, you know what, maybe walk away. But I reacted badly, And so if you can control your emotions, man, it can cost you. It can actually mean you can, if you're in school, it can mean you can be suspended, you can be expelled, or if you're working, you can lose your job or lose your contract. If you're in business, like you can lose it because you're mad, you have every right, the other party is wrong. So that's a lesson, to learn, for all of us. And I've learned it over time, to be able to control my emotions. So I want to cut the long story short, we were called to the deputy headmaster's office, and I was told to go and, sent home, to go and bring my parents. So I went home and told my dad. My dad sent me with someone, one of his employees. I went with him to school, and I was told, no, this is not your father. You need to go and bring your dad. Good thing is my dad was in like the Parents Teachers Association, the PTA. I was a very good, also good friend with the headmaster. So I went to school with him, and we had the meeting. Guess what? One of the principals, he had like, beards, he was like the beard gang then. He said, Mr. Otieno, I think your son is smoking bang. Like, how would he kick this young boy, until he breaks his leg? And look at his trouser. I'm a sag kwanza, he's like really sagged his trouser. I'm just like, there, man, what's not happening here? So that's to tell my story. And I said everything as it is. He said, hey, this is what happened, man. I know I did a mistake and I'm sorry about it. My intention was not to harm this boy. But he abused me badly, and I was angry. And I even said what he abused me. And I asked the mwalimu, the teacher, if you are the same one you are abused like that, what would you do? He was so quiet because it was bad. And I think that case ended like that, because now it was like, hey, I mean, this guy reacted badly from his emotion, and luckily my dad didn't discipline me badly. He understood, which is a good thing. So that story ended. Anyway, fast forward, I left that school. My mom said, man, we need to get another school. So I went to St. Joseph Boys High School, an amazing school, man. I think now I don't know how many students they have, but it's a beautiful national school. So when I got there, this was like college, man. We never went for evening preps. Yeah, you see the way schools have like evening preps. You go to evening preps at 7 p.m. and maybe at like up to 9:30 or 10 p.m. We never had anything like that. No, actually, no, we had it, but it started at 8 p.m. No, sorry, yes, we had it. It started at 8 p.m. instead of 6:30 or 7 p.m. So what used to do? We had to watch the news every day. Yeah, we watched the news and then go for evening preps, and then In the morning, no morning preps. So that was my life for Form 3. And I think when I got there, I performed, I think I was number 33, I think, you know, from number 1 to 33. It's like, okay. Second semester, I think I went behind again. Then third year I improved, third time I improved. And then I think in my first year, from 4 first term, I think I became like number 15, I think, if I remember. Then second term I became number 8. And I was like, man, no looking back. But now in our 4th year, we had a new principal. So the former principal we had was called Sogomo. You know, I don't know if he's still alive, man. I don't know. But the guy, he was like our father to us. But he gave us all the freedom. It's like, give this, you know, let the kids have freedom. You know, if they want to read, they will read. And the new principal, Mr. Obwogo, came with crazy rules, man. Whew. You can imagine, you're not used to waking up for morning preps. New rule, 4:45 p.m. the bell rings. You have to wake up for morning preps. And then you're used to going for evening preps at 8 p.m. And now by 6:50, you need to be in class for your evening preps. It was, of course, change is always difficult, but it's inevitable, you know, so we had to adjust. And yeah, you know, I want to say thank you to Mr. Obwogo. I know he's been unwell, man, and I pray that, you know, God grants him complete healing and full recovery. But he, I would say, really, really impacted our lives, because now we had a group of friends. We decided we're not even now going to wake up at 4:45. We're going to wake up at 2:30, 3 a.m. So my entire Form 4, I wake up early and honestly paid. Finished, I went to Maseno University. I was hoping I was going to go to Nairobi University. I really, now my dream was to be a mathematician, a professor of maths. I said, man, because I was really good in maths in primary school and in high school. I said, you know what, I think I'm going to be a professor in maths. And so the only option I had to, closest option to apply for was actuarial science. So I applied for actuarial science, but I didn't meet the cutoff point. So first option, actuarial science. Second option, I applied for applied statistics. And third option, I applied for communication and media in Maseno. Guess what I was called for? The third option. That's the letter I received. Not the first, not the second. For Maseno University, communication and media. And I was like, man, Maseno, you know, it's in the village. I think I want to go to the city. I don't think I want to go to this village. So one of our friends, she's called Wilkista. She took me there to the school. And I walked around the school, and honestly, I was not impressed. I didn't like the buildings. I didn't like the infrastructure. I was like, I don't think I want to be here. So I started to apply for UON for a parallel program, which I did. I didn't get a letter, but time is going. We have to enroll for Maseno. So I decided, hey, you know what? I think I'm just going to go to Maseno. And I went to Maseno. So the letter came in for the UON came in later on when I already had joined Maseno. And man, I don't regret at all. Like Maseno, I had the best campus life. I joined the Christian Union. I think I'll tell you a story, you know, of why. Because I gave my life to Christ in 2005, because I cleared in 2004. So that year when we had I think we had 2 years before joining campus. I don't know. Nowadays kids finish and they go to, they join campus immediately. But we had some time before joining campus. So that period is when I gave my life to Christ. I think maybe I should give that story before finishing how the campus life is. So this is what happened. Form 2, I started going to the club. Yeah. You know, you're just young, you're trying to, you know, party life and all that. And one night I met my uncle in the club. Yeah, that time we had this guy called John Karani. I don't know if you guys remember John Karani and Jeff Mwangeli, I think something like that. So these guys, men, were on KBC and Metro, and they were like who is this guy for Classic? 105, Maina Kageni. They were like the Maina Kageni of then. You know, so these guys, when they come to your city, they will rock the club, man. So that night I decided to go to the club and I met my uncle. I'm not going to say who. I think if he watches, maybe he'll know himself. Eh? It was so awkward. It's like, hey, so what are you going to drink? I said, I wasn't drinking alcohol. So I said, I'm just going to do picana. So good thing is that I was a very shy guy. I didn't like girls. I didn't like alcohol. So you can imagine how like God just kind of protected me. Because if I liked alcohol, man, I think I would have perished with alcohol. If I liked women, I think I would have slept with so many girls and I would have messed up my life. So I'm really thankful, man, that, you know, God protected me and covered me through that period. And so, yeah, that ended. And yeah, so that's how I ended up joining Maseno University and joining the Christian Union, like the first thing, because I was a believer, I was on fire for Jesus. But I want us to take a break, and then when we come back, I'll continue with the story and just speak out a few lessons that, you know, I have learned. I don't think I am qualified, but I'm glad because God qualifies the calling. I don't think I'm perfect, but God is perfect. Jesus is perfect. His story is the most perfect story. But I believe there are a few lessons that I can share, you know, from my story. So we'll take a break. Stay tuned right here on Talk with J.O., where it's all about inspiring stories. Catch you on part 2.